Alright, we have a Stoelting milkshake machine, and they say this unit is consistently over freezing and squealing the belt and not dispensing. So what that description is accurate. I mean, would be accurate to their diagnosis, right? It's always interesting when somebody says, oh, it's doing this, and then you're like, well, is that what it's really doing? But that would check out. So I think we've talked about this before, but in case you missed it, so how this unit works is it was off just now, so I just turned it on. I heard the compressor start. We're going to open this up. I heard the compressor start, right? We're allegedly freezing. And so as this becomes thicker, there's resistance on the bar, which pushes that over. And once that goes over and holds, it should satisfy and shut down. So we can test that by pushing this over. Yeah. So the cooling just dropped out. So that's unfortunate. This is really what I was hoping to find, because that would be the logical play. That would be the logical play to it over freezing. So we've got a fairly clear sight class. I say fairly clear because Stoelting says on these units it's going to flash a little bit. They say it's 448 and they say it's going to flash a little bit, which I don't buy, but okay. We're going to let this just run and freeze and see what happens. Take it from there. Very basic system. Does a couple things. Okay. When you pull this spigot, that goes up and lets off of this rocker. When you let off of that rocker, it's sensing that move and it's engaging the beater. So it's actually engaging the beater and the compressor, I'm pretty sure. And let this satisfy. This should be when you draw. Yeah, when you draw, it's going to fire off the beater and the compressor. That's correct. And then you can see this, which I'll be honest is already about, it says, yeah, it's there, right? So this is now so thick that the rod in the center has a hole in it. That hole has this pin in it. And the pin is touching that lever. That lever throws this plate and hits that button right there. Right? So we've hit that. We have no shake. Okay. We just pulled the trigger, right? In pulling the trigger, that activated the compressor and the drive motor. But then, since this is still hitting that, the compressor says, you don't need me. It drops out. The drive motor's on a few, I say a few minute delay. It's not a few literal minutes, but it's on a delay, and then it'll drop out. All that being intelligized by the board. So, them saying this unit is over freezing, and then they hear the belt squealing. It's not for that. So let's see why. I've watched it cycle a few times, no problem, but this is in there, which makes me wonder. Okay, so I wanted to get behind it and just make sure, I'm powered off right now, just make sure my keyways are in, and they are, and my belts, everything's locked in tight. I had wondered if maybe one of those keyways was not in, and then the pulley would just be spinning. And if the pulley's spinning and not driving this, then our beater wouldn't have been turning, and then our barrel would have overfrozen. Okay, we backed this way out because the consistency seemed funny to me. So we're gonna hold this with my knee for a second. We're gonna tap this. I want you to notice that that button is down because the beater's not spinning. Once I hit this, the beater starts spinning. It actually is already pressing the button. So that engaged, it disengaged, and now in a second the drive's gonna disengage. We have to let that cycle come to a halt. What's our consistency like? That's actually proper for these milkshakes. You're not making soft serve. You're making milkshakes. Pressure kicked in. I don't think we're all the way on the button yet, which would make sense because we're at the edge of loose. So this is going to firm up in a second. That's going to push that button. And then the pressure drops out. I have been doing this back and forth, 50 times, just trying to get it to not freeze, to not stop freezing, and it won't. So I can't replicate whatever problem they had. It is assembled properly. It was assembled properly when I got here. Staff is absolutely confirming that she squeals. It sounds like a bird chirping, which is the belt slipping when this is too thick. Okay. Rolling, waiting on the consistency to press the button. I'm not going to touch it because I don't want to alter the natural course of things. Yep. Pressure kicked out. It's these right here. See how those pull down? Actually, it's going to kick out. Stop. And I'm going to button this thing up and say, I can't help you. See, we're off. So I've adjusted this a little bit, and then it comes to rest. I wondered, is this moving freely, or is it like hung up? It is moving very freely, no problem. There are different springs, FYI, depending on if you're running like a slush spring, I think is green. So this is an additional spring in here, if you ever break your spring.